Hello, everybody, and this week I want to talk about a very controversial subject, maybe, but a subject that's been kind of pissing me off. And I want to talk about the terrorists that are ICE. Because you know what? We have to acknowledge them as terrorists. And the quote of this week is a quote by none other than our president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And it's remember, always that all of us, and you and I especially, are descended from immigrants and revolutionists. And I think that tells a lot about the state of our American spirit. Um, and really, what I don't like is when people say that America is a nation of settlers, because you know what? We are a nation of immigrants. The real settlers were the Native Americans. And actually, on that note, I was talking to a friend and they told me of this new term, and I don't know if it's new about, but I just didn't hear about it up until recently, and it's First Americans. And I really like that because it puts Native Americans as really the first Americans and the first settlers. And it really gives them historical precedence because you know what? America is a nation of immigrants, and the real settlers were Native Americans. And I'll say that again. And because there's two ways to look at it. Either nobody is illegal on stolen land, or everybody is illegal on stolen land. Because I think that both can apply. We stole land, basically. And really today, I want to highlight the fact that ICE is this terrorist organization that's been using immigration as a way to ensure their fascist rule. Yeah, that's basically it. It's not an immigration policy that Trump is trying to do. He's just using immigration to strike fear and to make people scared and to enforce violence and power. And really, one thing that's been absolutely disgusting is the fact that children have had to be homeschooled because of a fear of being deported. And ICE has been taking children. That's absolutely disgusting. And here, let me just read you this quote real quick that there have been concerns about the patterns of U.S. immigrations and custom enforcement targeting K-12 public school students throughout the country. They cited the case of 5 young New Yorkers, including a 6-year-old Ecuadorian girl who was deported with her mother in August, while her brother, a recent high school graduate, remained in adult immigration and customs enforcement and detention. 2 other siblings, one, a K-12 students, were left in New York without their mother. What type of monstrous bullshit even is this? This is what really gets my blood boiling, because you know what? ICE and the people in ICE, they cannot call themselves Americans. And that's to say, here's another quote. The targeting of ICE of not only adults without criminal convictions, but also of children and families negates the administration's stated policy of going after the worst of the worst for deportation proceedings. That's right, ICE has not been going after the worst of the worst. And that's been part of their rhetoric. They've cited that they've really gone after rapists, criminals, cartels, but the reality is that is such a minimal portion. It's a fraction compared to the people with no criminal records and just misdemeanors who they have been targeting. And the fact is, when you enter ICE, you are given a signing bonus of $50,000. And if people are willing to sell their souls for $50,000, it makes me wonder what they're willing to do for $20, if you know what I mean. Because ICE is a military organization, and we need to realize this. ICE is a privatized army. It is Trump's little militia, as I like to call it. Because with the budget bill passed by Congress, signed on July 4th, 2025, it was set to add $170.7 billion to the immigrant and border enforcement budget across several involved agencies over the next 4 years. An additional funding to ICE detention and staffing has been set to increase ICE's budget more than threefold to an average of approximately $37.5 billion annually. That's enormous. And Trump has been doing nothing, by the way, to lower our national debt. Actually, with ICE, he has been increasing it substantially. And there's a little graph I want to show you. And if you look at ICE's budget, ICE has more of a budget than Italy's, Israel's, and the Netherlands and Brazil's and Switzerland's own military budget. Basically, an actual official country has less of a military budget than ICE. And with this, I want to say, no, the act of being in America undocumented is not inherently a crime. And that's why I hate their rhetoric, and I hate the fact that they call undocumented immigrants illegal aliens. That is right-wing conservative propaganda. And you can even look it up yourself. I dare you. Please look it up for yourself. And here's another quote. No, the act of being present in the United States in the violation of the immigration laws is not standing alone a crime. While federal immigration law does criminalize some actions that may be related to an undocumented presence in the United States, undocumented presence alone is not a violation of a federal crime. Thus, many believe that the term illegal alien, which may suggest a violent criminal violation, is inaccurate and misleading. And this is a quote from a union, I think. And it's just rhetoric. It's just rhetoric. For example, more than 2/3 of all the 120,000 people deported between January and May, so more than 2/3 had no criminal convictions at all. And for another 8%, their only offense was illegal entry in the US. And only about 12% were criminalized of a crime that was either violent or potentially violent. So this has been an actual contradiction of their actual rhetoric of going after the worst of the worst. And you know what really pisses me off? There has been a child with stage 4 kidney cancer who was deported to Honduras. And you know what? I'm not even going to call it deportation. It's kidnapping. It's kidnapping in the most simplest of terms. We need to stop using the terms that Trump provides us, and we need to actually call it for what it is. And it is kidnapping. Kidnapping. Because here, this is what the mother of the child with stage 4 cancer said when she was being kidnapped. Quote, "They never told me where I was going," Rosario said, answering questions from The Guardian via her lawyers about her ordeal for the first time after her family's case received widespread and international coverage in April. "They had told me I couldn't ask anything. I asked where we were going, but they stayed silent." Now, if that does not sound like kidnapping, then I don't know what is. Because, of course, right-wing conservatives are going to rewrite it and spin it off and do mental gymnastics with this. And above this, with Alligator, Alcatraz, and even multiple ICE detention facilities, there has been multiple human rights violations. I mean, when are the conservatives going to wake up and see that they are doing crimes? And if we were in an actual state of definitional warfare, they more than definitely would have broken the Geneva Convention. But they have had human rights violations. Basically, there has been medical neglect, abusive solitary confinement, unsanitary conditions, and the detainees, they filed multiple complaints. There has been contaminated food with maggots, a lack of hygiene that's been given, a lack of water. And you know, in Alligator Alcatraz, they were not put in humane conditions. And I want you to focus on that word humane, because somebody who I really disliked used that word to talk about the detention facilities or the kidnapping facilities. But anyways, the undocumented immigrants are put on vinyl beds. I don't know if you've ever been on a vinyl bed, but it is uncomfortable, and with humid heat, it sticks to your skin. That is made for it to be non-comfortable. That was a deliberate choice, and I'm sure of that they made a deliberate choice to choose only the worst materials. And they are crammed in their cells, many people to just a single cell. Um, some of them, they are in a severe dehydration because the people detaining them are not giving them proper hydration. And there has been coercion due to process violations, intimidations, and family separations. And there is also a disproportionate impact on black immigrants. I mean, that's one thing that we need to realize is this thing, it's not immigrants, it's racialized. And the reason why Trump is going after immigrants is because it's an umbrella term. And the thing is, and one of the people who I really dislike, his name is Jay Obernolte. He's a congressman. I have beef with Jay Obernolte. Yeah, I have beef with him. His smile is so white that it makes whitewashing look dull in comparison. His smile is fake. And this man said that the detainees were treated as humanely as possible. And he was talking about the Adelanto facility. And my message to that is this. For anybody saying that the detainees are treated as humanely as possible, maybe you should take a little vacation in the detention programs and try it out for yourself. Yeah, nothing is stopping you. Nothing is stopping Jay Obernolte from actually experiencing this firsthand. And you know what? If he's going to say that they are treated as humanely as possible, I think that he needs to back up his claims. Yeah, maybe he should take a 7-day little vacation down in the Adelanto facility to back up his claims if they're so humane. And that's why I just want to point out the absolute bullshit of what he's been talking about. Contaminated food, contaminated water, maggot-infested meals, denied access to water. That's inhumane. Denied access to medical care. And for those who don't know, in Chicago, there was an ICE raid, and it was a huge ICE raid that happened in the middle of the night. And this is when I say they're a militia, and they are intimidating, and they're going after children, because in the middle of the night, they came and they put everybody out in the streets. There were children who were naked and zip-tied. And here's a quote. They were terrified. The kids were crying. People were screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I saw the little girl come around the corner because they were bringing the kids down too. They had them zip-tied to each other. Watson told WLS, recalling trucks and military-style vans were used to separate adults from their children. And they are separating adults from their children. I mean, it was heartbreaking to watch. And even if you're not a mother, seeing kids coming out buck naked and taken from their mothers, it was horrible. And you know, horrible indeed. And this is why I say ICE is a terrorist organization. They are, and we need to recognize it. And there are some government officials who've called out ICE, but I think that it's not enough. They need to call out ICE for what it is, a terrorist organization. If you're a government official, you need to denounce it. This is why you were elected. You were elected to be a peace officer and to hold public peace. And you know what? If you're not against this fascist regime, then you're for it. But if you're against it, we need to denounce it. And we need to denounce it every single second of our day. Because they want to separate us. They want to elicit fear. Terrorists comes from the word terror. And ICE wants to terrorize us. And they are doing a pretty good job at it too. I mean, Trump might not get the Nobel Peace Prize, but he definitely gets the terrorizing prize because he's been terrorizing the country. I swear, I've never been more stressed in my life just denouncing him. And we really need to tell our representatives to denounce it and to call it a terrorist organization. Not just announce it, but call it a terrorist organization. And I cannot stress this enough. But anyways, This is why ICE needs to be stopped. It needs to be called out, and it needs to be called for what it is, a militia. And if you're against this, please comment, please subscribe, please repost, and make your voice be heard. And on a separate note, next video, I am going to be having a conversation with one of California's candidates for governor. Her name is Carolina Bueller. She has a lot of interesting things to say. And please like, subscribe, and be sure to watch what we have to say, because we're going to talk about very interesting and harsh subjects such as unaffordability and how to deal with it. Anyways, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you very much.
No. How do you make this work?
You speak loudly into it.
Okay, I don't need to press anything?
No,
Okay. ICE is a terrorist organization. 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 And all elected officials need to denounce ICE as a terrorist organization. Now.
that's awesome.
ICE is a terrorist organization. All elected officials have it in their power to call ICE a terrorist organization. And they all need to unite now to call them for what they are. They are fascists and they are terrorists. And we need to call them out on their bullshit now.